Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a book coming out April 29th, 2025. It also came out in 2017, so it's a re-release. It's a horror novella from Tor Nightfire. I received this book from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. Intense, emotional, and immersive, Mapping the Interior is an intricate novella about fear and a child's understanding of the world. What is it about? Walking through his own house at night, a 15-year-old thinks he sees another person stepping through a doorway. Instead of the people who could be there, his mother or his brother, the figure reminds him of his long-gone father, who died mysteriously before his family left the reservation. When he follows it, he discovers his house is bigger and deeper than he knew. The house is a kind of wrong place where you can lose yourself and find things you'd rather not have. Over the course of a few nights, the boy tries to map out his house in an effort that puts his little brother in the worst danger and puts him in a position to save them at terrible cost. What's really interesting about this book is that it could be read as a ghost story or a child's misunderstanding of a situation in order to make sense of it. Children as characters, when they're done well, are so interesting because their way of viewing the world and dealing with trauma is very different than adults. Children fill in the blanks when they don't understand something, usually with something that they do know, whether the thing they can't understand is something that's actually happening or an emotion that they're unable to reconcile, and then they take that thing that they've kind of supplanted and take it at face value a lot of the time. Not all the time, but sometimes that's how some children deal with these kind of emotions. They are the ultimate unreliable narrator, and this book is no exception. The blurb says he's 15, but in the story he's 12, so that's an error. 3 years at that age does make a difference, so just pointing that out there. I'll probably make a note in NetGalley when I send it in, being like, you got a mistake there. The story actually would be totally different if you were 15 instead. I think that, in those 3 years, a lot can change kind of in how you see the world and how you understand things, so I think that is actually kind of a big error. To be clear, though, the story is a man recounting what happened to him as a child and how he perceived it as a child. So it's written as he saw things at that age, not as an adult would. So that's kind of another interesting layer on top of the story. The complexity of the boy in such a short story is so well done. Without him telling us, we understand this is a child grieving a father who passed away years ago, and he's either grieving now because he never reconciled the grief when it happened, or these feelings are coming up now that he's on the cusp of teenagehood. And the haunting that ensues is either his way of mentally working through these feelings of anger, hurt, loss, and more importantly, fear for his brother's life, or the haunting is literal. It's a lot to unpack here. I find it more interesting if the haunting is not real, but the story is also very creepy and frightening if it were a real ghost. The brilliant thing about this novel is that it could go either way. Some of the things that occur are not always shown to us. They're almost like the boy's kind of perception of what is going on, so we only have the boy's idea of what happened, and whether his adult self is remembering the ghost as an actual ghost or using the ghost as a metaphor is also up for debate. So as I said, there's so many layers to this. I think the title is very apt because it's not just like the boy mapping his house. Literally, it's us trying to map out the interiority of this boy's head. It's really, really fascinating. The thing is, when you're reading it, you're not really thinking about it that way. You're just kind of reading it as like the ghost story, and these kind of thoughts come up afterward. So if you take the story at a face value ghost story, it is scary. It's not like piss your pants scary, but it's unsettling. And there is a scene that if you have any kind of claustrophobia or fear of dogs, you will have your heart in your throat. And I'm not really claustrophobic. I don't like enclosed spaces. I would not like doing what the boy did because I'm more afraid of spiders than I am enclosed spaces. But that scene, I was just like, that scene was just really good. This is one of Jones's, I would say, less stylized books, as it's less lyrically written than The Only Good Indians, and which I find is more of like a literary fiction, and it's got a bit more kind of literary flair to it than My Heart is a Chainsaw. The writing is descriptive, the action scenes are full of tension and quick-paced, and the story itself is haunting and contemplative. It's just so good. For a novella, the characters are rich in what we see. We have the mother, who's a single mother struggling to get by. We have a brother with a mental disability, and we learn a lot about him, and he's a sweetheart. We also learn in passing, based on kind of the boy's perception, about the dead father, who also wasn't the best dude. So the story overall is about a boy wrestling with whose blood runs through his veins and the worry that he'll grow into who his father was, but he's also admiring the parts of his father that are commendable or important to him. It's also about identity, how though his mother is also Indigenous, his father holds that identity for the boy in a stronger way, and he's learning to reconcile that need to be part of his culture with kind of the apprehension he has about kind of following his father's footsteps. It's very layered and nuanced. It's absolutely fascinating. I really loved it. I think it's actually my favorite Stephen Graham Jones book I've read so far. I really thought it was great. I can understand why it's getting a re-release. So yeah, if you like Stephen Graham Jones, you should totally check this out. It's definitely worth it. If you love like interesting, complex, but also creepy novellas, you should totally check this out too. It's really, really good. So thank you to the publisher for the e-arc. I really appreciate it.